What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Strangers Minds. And today we're going to read off Reddit from the subreddit Ghosts. And we're going to get right into it with That's It. Back to Winning, EG. All right. Sorry, it was the name. All right. Let's see what this is about. Let's open this up. What could this orange thing be? Only edit is a crop to take out a person I was with. Uh, man. The white mark to the right of orange bit is also a little weird. Okay. Uh, let's see a little bit bigger. The only edit was to take the person off. I'm assuming it is a bigger, a wider angle, and they only cropped it to take out the person. Since the flashlight is on this side, that orangeness. Is there a flash on the camera? Um, Honestly, this could have been a bug. There are many times to which when I take photos in areas and there is a bug flying by, it would leave something similar to this, which is why I'm saying it's a bug, and something white next to it. I am assuming on this side because I don't really see nothing on this side. I'm going to say, as you can see, there is seems to be like something. These lines over here has some sort of shininess to them, which is reflecting off the off the camera. I don't really. This could be a bug flying by, guys. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I've seen similar things in photos, and I'm not one to post questionable photos. If I get something, it is, I'm putting out there that it is potentially a paranormal in a picture. But I rarely post. I'm just not gonna post just anything. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that could be a bug, guys, flying by. Holy shit, it does look like that. What are you talking about? Oh no. Are they saying that? Damn, oh my god, I would have never made this connection, but now can't unsee. Can someone put the GIF in the pic, please? It's amazing. I mean, guys, I don't see it. How are they comparing this GIF to this? Like, I don't see it. Am I missing something? Telling you, sometimes if if you want to post something of your experience on Reddit, you have to take it with it's bittersweet. You have to take it because there's a lot of assholes out there that will break down your experience and make you feel like crap, and potentially just have the person not want to do anything else. But I come on, guys, like sometimes people are on Reddit and genuinely posting stuff to get a response that is not to break them down. So yeah, you know what? Let's just keep it moving. I'm gonna say it could be a bug just flying by. There is an issue with taking pictures and posting it. It could possibly be just about anything. What is the scariest experience you have ever had? And I'm not talking about I was home alone, but something that to this day sends chills down your spine when you think about it. You know what? Nobody. Oh, okay, cool. So let's go. If you wish to share your story, scary experience, visit the original post by here. Okay, you know what? Let's just go with Owl a Syndicate. Freely admitted, I've always been terrified of looking in the rear view mirror and seeing someone in the back seat when I'm driving alone. So I am a chronic back seat checker, especially when it's dark. A couple of years ago, a friend and I were driving home after seeing a show in Dallas. It was late, the road was fairly empty, and we had reached that point where we were both just zoned out on the white lines on the highway. Suddenly, my friend said, "Tomorrow." I glanced at her, expecting more like, "Tomorrow, I'm gonna XYZ." Yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, you guys are sitting in silence and somebody just, "Tomorrow." Like, you're gonna be like, "Okay, like, finish your sentence." Like, nobody didn't ask or said nothing. So yeah, I get it. I get it. But she was looking at me, clearly expecting an answer. I said, "What about tomorrow?" She said, "You asked me when I would do lesson plans. I'll do them tomorrow. We are teachers, FYI." That's interesting. So basically, the story is about how she heard a mimic mimicking the driver or the person next to her. That's interesting. That has happened to me plenty of times, even in my house, you guys. Actually, you know what? Let me share the story. My girl and I, we were sleeping, and it was during that time where we were just about to nod off. Everything was off and everything. And then I said, um, what was it? Do you want me to turn it off? And then she goes like, What are you talking about?" And I was like, "What do you mean? You asked me that, it's cold. Do you want me to turn off the AC?" And then she was like, "I didn't ask you that." And then we just stayed in this moment like, "Okay. All right." So but yes, I have experienced this. I told her I hadn't see I told her I hadn't said anything, and we fussed about it for a couple of minutes. Then we both distinctly heard a voice from the back seat say, "Wait until Monday." Ooh. Oh, nice. My friend is turned around. My friend is turned around. You guys are teachers? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My friend turned around in her seat. I'm alternating between staring at the rearview mirror and trying to pull off on the side of the road. We both jumped out of the vehicle, pull open the back doors, and there's no one there. My friend heard the voice twice. I heard it once, but we were the only ones in the car. We even checked our phones to make sure we hadn't accidentally dialed someone, and they were pranking us. We drove the rest of the way home with the radio turned all the way up, just in case someone talked to us again. And after I dropped off my friend, I drove home about 10 minutes with the back interior light on. I still triple check the back seat and turn the radio all the way up, especially at night when I'm alone. I mean, guys, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Don't let people break you down and make you feel like you can't share nothing. All right. Thank you for sharing. This is actually a very, creepy situation. You're driving and you hear somebody in the back seat. Depending on what road you take, I've heard there are roads in Texas that are deemed haunted with supposed hitchhikers, ghostly apparitions hitchhiking in vehicles as you drive past. So yeah, you possibly could have come across something like this. But here's my thing. And I know it's hard, especially for, you know, uh I've always said this, the best way to deal with a spiritual or a paranormal event, you have to face your fears, you guys. You have to face your fears because that will be the only way that you could overcome that hurdle, that scare, and actually find some sort of realization and explain what is going on. Yes, we're talking about a mimic, a ghost mimicking a person within the vehicle, which is absolutely scary. But I would not um, put up the radio all the way up because potentially you might even piss off the entity and something worse can happen. Right now is just talking. How would you react if something touches you while you're driving? That is very dangerous. So I would have had my guard up. Yes, you know, drive, pay attention at the mirrors, just keep myself, but keep calm, keep yourself cool, and try and rationalize what just happened. That is my advice for you, sir. Be careful out there. So I'm gonna share my experience. I'm not gonna write it down, but my scariest experience is my very first experience. I have spoken about this in the past, and even on my even on the sorry, and even on the podcast that I am involved with, the Shadow Files podcast with Jeremy and Gary. Um, my very first experience, the reason why I became a paranormal investigator in the first place, was when I was young. I must have been 11, 12, around that age, living in Brooklyn, New York, in an apartment. First and only time I had a experience like this, it was okay. I've always started the story off with saying, I'm not saying the boogeyman is real, but something did come out of the closet one night for me. And I was in a room. We had a bunk bed. My little brother in the bottom. I was on top. For some reason, I ended up opening my eyes and I noticed that it was dark. So I glanced at the old school cable boxes that had the time on it. And it was like 2:49. So at that point, I heard something in my closet. Now, again, Brooklyn, New York, South Side, Williamsburg area. For you who knows that that's not really the cleanest, most upkept society, community, area. So when I heard something in the closet, I automatically assumed it was like some sort of rodent, like, roaches, all that. So when I looked at the closet, that's when I started noticing that there was some movement with my clothes. And then I noticed something that scared me to my core. I couldn't move. I was almost like in a paralyzed state. I couldn't even blink. And I noticed the walls were painted white, that really when you don't want to spend too much money on colorful paint, you just buy what's that called? The primer mixed in with with the paint, just that white paint. The walls were all painted white, all of it. Doors, frames, everything painted white. I noticed that there was it to me at first it looked like it was like bugs, like roaches. You could tell a roach on a white wall from far. So it looked like roaches, coming out of the closet. But then more than one came out of the closet next to each other. And in a bit, that's when I started noticing that it's not roaches. I am seeing fingers coming out of the closet, and it went as far as to grip the door to my closet. At this point, I don't know how my heart didn't stop pounding, but the only thing I felt within myself was just that, the pounding of my heart. It sounded like I was hearing my heartbeat. And then the clothes, the perfect example is when, like when your mom is looking for your school clothes, she goes and buries, her hand, starts spreading and doing like that. That's what I saw. My clothes opened up, and the point where I was able to do something, I guess the fear got too high for me. But it's when I saw the top of the head of whatever it was coming out. That's when I let off a scream. In a couple of seconds, my father came busting through the door. Everything was over. But due to that experience, till this day, you guys, I cannot sleep in a room when any doors open. I can't. I get anxiety. I get, it's completely uncomfortable. But I blame that experience for the trauma that I go to this very day. So let's continue on. Sorry for the long, it's part of the Reddit reads. So let's see. What is the least haunted state? Ooh, least haunted. Is there a answer? Nebraska. You might be right. You're very wrong about that. Okay. More like Nebraska. Nebraska. What? Maybe Utah, Idaho, or Wyoming. One of the western states where there's a prevalence of Mormons. But it's pretty much impossible to go anywhere in the US that won't have some sort of history with pioneers and the indigenous people that undoubtedly are connected with a paranormal story. That is true, actually. I've said this on the podcast, The Shadow Files. Um, the world has been spinning with living things for, I'm not an expert, millions of years. I say that, you know, uh, including the fact that there's what the world is covered in like 80-90% of water. So it's not much land. I think every step you take, there's some blood spilled on it. Something. Something. That's my take on it. But yeah, you know what? That this is a very good question. I would like to know without ghosts question mark Alaska 100%. God damn. 100%. But yeah, yeah. This is a very interesting question, which I'm going to actually post on Facebook. What is the least haunted state? And let's see what kind of responses I will get on Facebook. So if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, please do. I got a link tree and I am all over the place. Threads, Lemonade, all over the place. All right, let's continue on to I think something has latched onto me. Okay, let's see what's up. Personal encounter. Gotcha. So, hello there. I live with my parents. Eh, Okay. I live with my parents and my brother together in an old European house that already belonged to my grandparents' parents. Wow. Wow. That is history under one roof and all family. That's amazing. I would love to know how old is the house, and also, um, did your family build a house, or was there occupants before your family bought the house and it just lasted this long within the family? That is very interesting to me. Since I was a kid, I remember odd things happening, but growing up with it helped to see it as normal and rather interesting and nice. I've never lived in a haunted house. I do not want to live in a haunted house because how Steve Gonzalez from Ghost Hunters said, um, I like my rest. I like my peace. I don't mind going months on out and you just going to the most craziest haunted places. But when I come back, I want to rest. I want to like separate myself and not have to be constantly on edge in my own home. But yes, uh, it is very interesting and is very nice. Well, anyways, since a week or two, things have been weird in my bedroom. Uh-huh. 3 days in a row, I woke up panicking, seeing big shadows by my window, and feeling watched from my window like someone standing there. I am in the second floor. The third time I woke up, my face felt wet and in panic. I thought I had to hide under my blankets. I noticed after a minute of hiding that I have been crying very strongly but didn't feel saddened, stress, or directly fear, which would make me cry. A few days ago, I smelled burned plastic in my bed, which was gone the next day. And today, I keep smelling booze, and the smell won't leave. All right. So, you already know there is some sort of activity. You've said it. You mentioned it that it's interesting and it's nice. So there is some activity. more so in the past couple of days, that you're feeling certain things. Maybe subconsciously you have kind of connected with the entity, and now the entity is more around you in your room than in other areas of your house. I would believe this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an attachment because you've been living with this for a very long time. What would be interesting is if you was to move out of your house or even spend a weekend outside of your house, would you still feel or sense or see any paranormal activity? Then we could honestly say you might have an attachment. But as of right now, the entity, is probably a family member. I would definitely, talk to my parents. I would try and go down the family tree, find out what type of, people my ancestors were. And, who knows? Maybe all of this stuff was normal to them. And they're just, they're home with family. So they're just doing them regardless. Now, the part of being all drenched while sleeping, yes, it is known that, and it's one of my favorite lyrics from Nas. Rest, sleep is the cousin of death. So there's a lot of reported incidents that when you're sleeping you could have something called a outer body experience. And sometimes you yourself might not even notice that you're having a dream or anything is happening because you are unconscious. And but your soul, your spirit leaves and is experiencing certain things. And when you get back into your body, you're already going your emotions, your physical, everything is changing along with it. Um I would say that you probably had a bad dream or an outer body experience and you just don't remember, but you woke up and you're in this state. So, but as of right now, just to take some, if you are worried about certain things, which it doesn't seem like you're not, you're just sharing a bad experience one day that you had or a couple of days. If you do want to try and find out what's going on, I've said this before. There are most likely a paranormal group very close by to you. There, I say that there are groups all over the place, all over the US, in every neighborhood, and most likely all of these paranormal groups have some sort of social media. Do your research, try and find yourself like a good, respectful, and basically do your research just like if you're going to buy a house or a car, and invite them into your house, find see what they could gather. But as of right now, I don't see that there's anything malicious going on. There's no, you haven't written nothing about any violence happening. So it's safe to say that you probably have a family member that is just doing their ghostly thing. All right, let's see what no category 4 minutes ago said. My suggestion: if you're noticing all of this in the same area, is it to try to change the air in the area because it might mediate the paranormal activity. Change the air in the area. Try to change the air in the area. Um, Maybe change your atmosphere. Is that what you're talking about? No category. Change the room around. Sometimes doing things like that can actually activate paranormal activity. But let's keep in mind that um, I see hovercraft. You know, is she, he, this person, already has been experiencing paranormal activity, and it's not nothing. They find it interesting and nice. So maybe you mean, I don't know what you mean about change the air besides the atmosphere. But yeah, you know what? I would go with my advice. Try if you're interested, you could do it yourself. Also, you don't need $1,000 equipment. You could use your phone to record video. You could get yourself a very low price voice recorder. Ask questions. Do not bring a Ouija board into your house. Do not, I'm going to repeat, bring a Ouija board into your house. You might want to contact whatever it's in your house causing this, but you might let something in. A Ouija board is a doorway. A door swings both ways. You might want to contact one person, three comes in. So I'm just saying, you could try and do it yourself. You already see it as interesting and nice. So just, it could be a family member. That is my advice to you, IZ Hovercraft. Thank you for sharing your story. And you guys, I'm going to stop it right here. If you are enjoying yourselves and liking this content, please do what you do when you like a channel. Hit that like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys on the next. Peace.